Greetings, travelers, adventurers, and fellow keepers of the lake. You want to prepare your sessions in just 2 pages in your notebook. You want to spend as little time as possible prepping for your session and take the most out of it. Well, I know there is a lot of dungeon masters that will say, okay, yeah, you can cut down your prep to just 15 minutes, or just like, I don't even prep, I remember everything, I improvise everything on the spot. And I totally get that there are people that can do that. But for us mortals, we usually say, okay, we're gonna prep only the necessary things, and then I think there isn't a dungeon master that doesn't say, well, I don't prep that much, but they kind of do. Mostly they don't perceive all of the things that they're doing as prep. So for example, if you sit down and you're twiddling your thumbs and you say, okay, I have finished everything I wanted for my game. Oh, but yeah, I could make a prop, a handout, or what if I create the whole set piece? It just spirals out of control, and it happens to everybody. But in this playlist, I would like to focus on just prepping the essentials in your notebook and improvising everything else. My philosophy is only prep one session at a time. Of course, I devise some of the plots that will be long running, but I usually just stick to the one session at a time approach. So the idea of this playlist is to give you all the tips that I use for prepping, that cut down my prepping time, and that somehow allow that fluent style of bouncing off your players creatively and still like have some guidance and introduce some details that you would really like. So all you need is a notebook, something like this. And let's say these 2 pages are probably around 5 hours to 10 hours of play, depending if they go off-road. We will go through all of the techniques, such as like creative boundaries and inspiration and all that stuff. Today I won't leave you with just an intro, right? So get around the campfire and let's talk about inspiration, but not inspiration in terms of like where do you get inspiration for some maybe details or elaborate plots, but how do you as a human sit down and think of creative stuff? We live in a world where we are constantly bombarded by content, and there is a paradoxical relationship between consuming content and creating content. Whenever you are consuming content, it will influence the things that you create. For me personally, when I started DMing, I was sitting down in front of my notebook and wanted to write something that's creative, but I would hit the tropes, I would only think of the things I saw online. I really had like some, what writers would call writer's block, but before even becoming a writer, if that makes sense. I started to catch myself going online and watching more and more YouTube videos about DnD, and of course, I would assume that you're doing the same now. You're here with me, right? You're looking at me. Well, stop. Just put your phone somewhere where it's far away from you, so in a different room, okay? Then go and find a place that you never use your phone at. For me, it was just the hallway, because everywhere else I'm on my phone. So I took my beanbag, put it in the hallway, sat down and stared at the wall. First 20 to 30 minutes were hell on earth. You feel your phone vibrating in your pocket even if it's not there. You wander off in your thoughts and then you remember, oh yeah, let me check something. Oh, where is my phone? And then you remember you left it on the table. So let it happen. Just
let it happen.
Sit down, sit through it. You will get thoughts, invasive thoughts that will tell you, well, if you just take your phone and look at some inspiring things, you will be inspired to create. But that's not true, because you cannot exercise the muscles you need to be creative if you're constantly bringing it from the outside. Of course, you need inspirational material. You should read books, watch different live plays, all of that. It's all fine, but that's entertainment. You're getting that part of the inspiration through entertainment, and just writing. Sometimes it's not entertaining until you hit that aha moment and you want it to play out at the table, and still then you only get the dopamines when you play it out at the table. And for example, if you're playing guitar or you're learning an instrument, when you practice guitar, that looks something like this. You just go through scales and you repeat the song, and whatever you practice, it's not that much fun. So most of the guitarists and instrument players like to sit down and when they practice just play the things that they are comfortable with, but that brings you to a point where you're not making any advancements in your playing, but it gives instant gratification. It's the same thing. Like practicing scales is you staring at a wall and trying to write something. Playing a song that you already know is the same as watching videos about DnD so you can write better sessions. So for your brain to focus on writing and not consuming, it's very hard. It wants the instant dopamine and entertainment. So just leave it in another room. And your stories will be shit at the beginning, and you can always create like a skeleton and everything without your phone, and then go online and get inspired and enrich it, add the details, use the internet. For example, the Narrative Nuggets video explains just that. I am using the internet in that video to enrich something that I've already created through just staring at the wall.
Do not underestimate the power of staring at the wall.
I hope this was helpful to someone. It is more of a rant of like, your content is bad for you, but in my time we used to read books and stare at the wall. No, it's not a rant. I consume content every day, but I'm telling you from my own experience, this is just a tip, just my opinion, what works for me. And everything in this playlist will be things that work for me, and I hope it will spark the conversation in the comments about what works for other people. I'm very curious to hear for every of these videos what works for you. Please share, because in this community, sharing really brings the whole hobby to a new level for everyone across the board. So thank you very much for coming to this part of the internet, and I hope things that you find here are inspiring in some way. And as always, keep on going, keep on loving, keep on being creative, play more D&D, and I will see you in the next one.
Farewell.